Another genre of MLK Day tweet that you see every single year is the one where somebody puts something out and then sort of pretends to forget the context of who they are or who their circle was at this time. So one that we have to spotlight is from at FBI, who says Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? This MLK Day and every day, the FBI remains dedicated to service and committed to protecting our communities." They left off the end of that sentence, which would have been there back in the time of MLK, which is protecting our communities from people like him, because they were 100% opposed to him. This is a memorandum that the FBI headquarters sent out to all of their active agents that was unveiled eventually in the Church Committee report that said, as late as March 1968, FBI agents were being instructed to neutralize Dr. King because he might become a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. If he were to abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, nonviolence, and embrace black nationalism. They wanted him wiped out, quite literally, by the way. So the idea that, like, okay, maybe that doesn't represent you anymore, FBI or whatever, you can try to make that case, but you cannot pretend that you are not part of the institutionalized opposition to him and others in this movement for decades. And so they just leave that context off, Nina.
Of course, because it doesn't fit the narrative. And you're right. Hell, if they've seen the light, which I, far be it, I don't know. They got a lot they got a lot that they have to do to show as an institution, as you just laid out. This is about institutions that they have seen the light. But we know that J. Edgar Hoover had an entire file. He was out to destroy. He led his agents and also directed his agents to seek, search, and destroy Black leaders of the 60s. And the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of those. Minister Malcolm X. A whole host of leaders were attacked by the FBI, deliberately attacked. They stoked the flames that led to his death, both him and Minister Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party, you name it, John. We could do a whole show about what the FBI as an institution of the United States government did to disrupt, to destroy, to dismantle Black lives by trying to kill off or stoke the flames of killing off our leaders. And they did not want Minister Malcolm X and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to get together, baby. That was the last thing that they wanted.
100%, yeah. Yeah, and they can say that they're past that or whatever, but we get to learn our history, especially in the time when so many are saying, no, there's never been any like structural racism, any institutionalized race. It's never been anything like that. It was like one random guy who like didn't like Hispanic people. That's all racism ever was in America. No, it wasn't. They tried to wipe out movements.
John, they infiltrated these organizations. Infiltrated. And then use propaganda to sow discord within the organizations and outside of the organizations. And for what? What were these Black organizations fighting for? Liberation. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah. They owe. Oh my God, they owe a lot, John. They do.
They do. Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to be repaid back with just a couple of tweets.
No, not at all.
No. One other individual who conveniently sort of forgets the family history here is Meghan McCain, who tweeted yesterday on the holiday. Today we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of the greatest Americans to have ever lived, and we recognize with deep gratitude the impact and the legacy he left on the world. And says, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Again, it's part of that thing. Like, no, he was only ever cool. Like, don't ever be angry and don't really be passionate and certainly be quiet. And again, she would never support like a hate-filled Republican or anything. Now, of course, as you are probably expecting here, her own father doesn't have the best part in this whole thing. As a first-year congressman back in 1983, John McCain voted against the holiday commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He said at the time that Dr. King shouldn't be memorialized because presidents were not recognized, citing cost as another reason for his dissenting vote. It's all about the money, that's what it is. Think of the deficit, everyone. He also has a history of voting against civil rights legislation like the 1990 Civil Rights Act, which sought to ban discrimination in employment at American businesses. Now, she has been asked about this previously because, again, she's one of these people that once a year acknowledges that he existed. And so she said at one point a couple of years ago, "We all live with regrets, and my father points to this and his stance on the Confederate flag in 2000 as two of them. We've been talking a lot about this life these days. I am still intensely proud of him and his legacy. I am sad on MLK Day that this account would tweet me." Here's the thing. So yes, she has addressed it. She is making herself out to be the victim because somebody pointed out the context that her father was part of the institutionalized opposition to the movement. I feel like she is not the big victim in this. And I feel like acknowledging her father's role does not need to be a one-time thing. I don't know, am I being unfair? She has acknowledged it, most would not.
I mean, to me, I don't think that the sins of the father should lay on the daughter. I mean, she wasn't the one that she didn't vote. Her father did. So we should hold her accountable for what she says and what she does. Her tweet is right. Dr. King was one of the greatest, human beings to walk the face of the earth. That is true. And he did say hate is too great a burden to bear. Now let's put that in if some people may think it is hateful to stand up and fight for justice. See, so let's go on and break down what we find hateful and what is not. But I will say, I personally do not agree with overlaying the actions of her father on her. Neither should she have to apologize for her father because he did that. He was a grown man. Okay, those were his decisions. She can be judged for what she does in her lifetime.
Yeah. No, I think that that's fair. So let's not judge her for that. Let's judge her for how she responded to the social justice movement of just 2 years ago. How she suggests that like the protests in BLM are the same as the Capitol riot. She gives us more than enough reasons.
We got it. And you're right, John. Yes. I mean, she's not the victim here though. Spare me on that. She's set for the rest of her life. So no, she needs to just, it's not right, but life ain't fair, period. And where she stands is lofty. So for her to be victim, I agree with you on that. She just let it go. It may be uncomfortable and unfair, but she should just go and let that go. But you're right. Come on, we got some receipts on her that we can analyze.
And you know what? You are being so fair that although I have graphics of what Marjorie Greene was saying yesterday on the holiday, we're gonna skip it.
Oh no, John! Don't skip it.
You want to see it? You want to see what she used it for? Do you think it was understanding and compassionate? Okay. Okay. I was trying to be nice. So she said, "Today I believe we are seeing a new segregation and discrimination beginning, wrongfully forced upon unvaccinated Americans by the tyrants of the Democrat Party. Inspired by the courage of giants who fought for freedoms in the past, I will always tirelessly work to defend the Constitution and guaranteed freedoms for all Americans." Or whichever Americans are still alive after the pandemic, I'm gonna claim as many as possible. "Our freedoms come from our almighty God, and we must not let any man take them away." So she used MLK Day to say, yeah, segregation was bad. I totally don't support it coming back or anything, but we already have it. It's for the unvaccinated because of the mandates, Nina. You asked
wrong with this woman. I mean, it's just something wrong with it. What you want me to do with this? You know how we go, John, what do you want me to do with crazy? There is something wrong with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Period. Yeah. And she keeps exposing herself time and time again.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
And I will take this as one more opportunity to say, it's not a vaccine mandate. You just have to get tested, you bozo. So they will let's say there was a vaccine mandate and Dr. Fauci was running around with like a high-powered dart rifle, just like going to county fairs and all that and just gunning down conservatives with his dart rifle to vaccinate them. That, I would argue, still does not justify the I'm defending the Constitution, it's the biggest thing since 1776 thing. But it's a testing mandate. All of this, her talking about a national divorce or whatever, is over the fact that they don't want to get tested once a week. Like that is an apocalyptic event for them. Is sticking it up there and just swabbing it a couple times and taking it out so that you don't knowingly or unknowingly give someone a lethal disease. Madness.
John, I can't with you. I can't, no. No, you get the last word on this. I can't.
Thank you. Thank you. Arm Fauci. That's what I say.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.